Welcome back to ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Now, let's look at the situation in Osun State. The Osun State Government has begun the implementation of full salary payments to all civil servants in the state. The State Commissioner of Information, Adelane Badinwa, has confirmed this development. According to Mr. Adelane, the full salary payment started with the July salaries. The state started modulated salary payment in June 2015 when the state faced an economic crisis. This year's June salary payment marked the third anniversary of half salary payments in the state. What does an action like this mean for the nation and many governors' inability to pay salaries as of now at the current minimum wage? KK, let me come to you. You are the comrade. I mean, your comrade in Osun State. What kind of retrogressive revolution is going on there? Not paying salaries for 22 months.
Yeah, it's good news that it's good to pay the salaries at all. That is good news, especially if you contrast it with the situation in another state recently. Yes, you know that at the eve of an election.
Which state is that?
Yes,
identify the state. You mean Ekiti?
Yes, exactly.
No, I mean.
Yeah, okay. At the eve of the election,
yes,
the state government insulted workers by paying 3,000 naira each into their accounts. You know, that is just at the very eve of the election.
The stipend.
So whatever meaning you read to it, whether it is political, whether it is diplomatic or spiritual, it does not really matter to me.
Or revolutionary.
Or whether it's revolutionary or reformist. What is important is that Adegbeshola, before he leaves, that you pay all the arrears, especially, for the sake of the government that will succeed him, so that they don't have to inherit, the body. So for me, it's good news that he's going to pay this, and that is without prejudice to the fact that for so long the workers of Osun State, have had to live without their pay. That is a matter of regret.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just Osun we're dealing with. The Governors Forum met recently, and their chairman, Governor Yari of Zamfara State, reporting their meeting, said that, look, governors can't pay because they won't pay, okay? That 80% of what they get from federal allocation goes on the payment of salaries. And that now that the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress are asking for a minimum wage of 65,000 per month, that they can't even afford it. Okay, with the NLC now saying, no, a laborer deserves his wages. Why can't state governments in Nigeria pay salaries? Why would any state government owe salaries for 22 months?
Well, one, civil service in most states, if not all, is bloated. And the political will to, and it's not just about firing people, really. I mean, but it's about thinking through what is it in the states that people can do, and how do we work so that there's a transition over a period of time so people come out of state employment into self-employment. That's number one. So because of the politics of that and how that ties into re-election, very few state governors are willing to do it. We've seen the challenges with Malam El-Rufai and teachers in Kaduna, and even Dr. Fahimi suffered from it in Ekiti. That's one bit. Second bit is also prioritizing salaries and running costs versus capital projects that have a procurement element into it. So the same Osun that could not pay salaries was building flyovers and roads and mega schools. So there's
White elephant projects, you mean?
Well, in some cases, yes. Maybe not all of them, but some, yes. So there's really a conversation that needs to happen around their perspective of what is development. What is development when your citizens are living at poverty level, don't have money, but you think building a mega school or a flyover is a testament to the fact that you're
and some of these governors have convoys running into about 20, 30 vehicles.
And their own costs are never affected. All plus their security vote plus their running costs are paid in full. So there has to be a conversation. But again, it's back to the whole issue of governance and the demand and supply of governance. Governors will supply rubbish if people don't demand.
Prof, why should these governors suddenly pay salaries when it is election time? Why? Why is that the case?
Because people need money. Because the Nigerian people, when they see money, they change immediately. So you have to strategize in such a way that you secure support as at the time
You need it.
you need it.
Is that good for our democracy?
Definitely not.
What really is not good for our democracy? What do we have democracy? What type of democracy are we talking about? Look, you see, the beauty of it all is that there's one principle in international relations, is the principle of weighted voting. That is, your number of votes is a function of how much money you put into the organization. Now, we have been asking in Nigeria that allow the constitutive states in Nigeria to develop on the basis of their own resources, all right, their capacity, their capabilities, but we do not want that. Like since everybody prefers to go to the center, cap in hand, to collect money, now why would you expect them to be more creative in terms of their developmental needs? So, if we borrow from this international principle, let us allow the states in Nigeria, and they talk about restructuring. We talk about state police, community police. These are elements in restructuring. If, for instance, those states where I come from is now allowed, for instance, to sit down, get its specialists, development experts, to know how to translate their potential resources into manifest wealth. Please, all these stories will be different.
Prof, you are quite right. I mean, in other words, we're dealing with the curse of oil. You know, these states complaining about not being able to pay salaries must become centers of innovation, productivity, and creativity, so that they do not depend on oil revenue that comes from the center. Quite true. But I mean, a dimension of what you have said is probably what Nigerians are witnessing now. Ahead of the Salah, cattle and ram sellers are complaining of low patronage of domestic animals such as goats, rams, and cows for sale. They lament that their hopes for brick business has been dashed as a result of the poor state of the nation's economy. And as a result of the slow pace of business, many are now being forced to sell some of their rams on credit. KK, the Salah period in Nigeria is usually a festive period, and people look forward to eating a lot of meat. Now we can't get meat to eat. The ram sellers are saying nobody is buying. What's the problem?
It's a matter of the purchasing power. I mean, if, for instance, in a state like you just said, in a state where yes, where workers are not paid their salary, so a civil servant who maybe customarily will buy rams for his relation or even for his own celebration, assuming he's a Muslim, he won't be able to. So it's quite obvious that it's a reflection of the state of the economy, that the purchasing power is
I find it interesting because the ram sellers, they become very aggressive. You see them on Twitter, you see them on Instagram, you see them on Facebook. They've gone digital. They are practically pushing the rams in your face, But people say at 75,000 naira, at 100,000, 120,000 naira, which is far above the minimum wage. That is very difficult for people.
The new development is that the ram sellers,
yes,
physically, they take the rams now from places, one house to the other, offering to sell at
a discount.
Aggressive salesmanship,
Yes, it's now an aggressive selling. Yeah. It's a completely different development.
Yeah, it's an index of the Nigerian condition.
And this is ram that Nigerians used to take for granted at festive seasons. Yeah.
That is when you have the money to pay.
Well, don't worry, Nigeria will survive. It's time now for a break here on ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show. When we return, we'll be debating whether the Nigerian government paid a ransom for the release of the Dapchi school girls or not. Don't go away.